Oh my word, here we are at number 2 for James Dixon. If you thought the first one was good, this one's going to blow your mind. I'm serious. I'm not just trying to persuade you to watch it. I am, I guess, because it is so amazing. I sat there and listened to all that he had to say, and I wanted to take all of it in, especially the premium action plan. Make sure you go to boldencounters.tv and sign up and hear what he has to say to get us going. Almost cliche if at a young age you figured it out and at the end of college you got married the first time, it lasted forever and you've been happy ever since. But as you're saying, it's not about that.
It doesn't matter what goes on. I'm going to give it my all.
Like, you're not turning and killing other humans because you're just generally angry and out of control. You're channeling those innate emotions towards the actual context of what needs to happen.
I'm going to rephrase something from my perspective.
Yeah, I'd like to hear your perspective.
I really don't care about being happy.
Yeah. I think those that have something, there's something that gets in the way. And I've heard a couple of people as they've talked to you, I'm not an amazing athlete anymore, but I was a decent athlete and I played a lot of sports. I was a national rugby player and so I played a lot of football, and I recognized something I want to ask you about, and this is like a really important thing, I think. So those of us that have something, that don't have to get grandma on our side in our head, there's something that gets in the way, and those that haven't been in those situations are uncomfortable with the anger that you talk about and the innate, that testosterone feeling that you talk about in this moment and similar moments. And yet if I said to you, in the moment of the game, were you feeling that way towards your own teammates? I would suspect the answer would be no. Is that fair to say?
Well, I won't say that. I'm going to tell you.
Okay.
When I got to college, there was a kid who wore my jersey.
Yeah.
And the coach had told me I could have that jersey, but a senior had it. He meant I would get it eventually.
Yeah.
I couldn't let that happen. And so the kid that had it, I tormented him. Yeah. Every time I would guard him, I would hit him with an elbow. I would bring it up until you come out of that jersey. We can never be friends. Until he finally gave me that number. So, yeah, but then I would use it for the benefit of my teammates.
Yeah.
But if you guarded me and you were going to stop me from getting into starting position, or if you're going to be the one that I thought were blocking me, I'm coming.
Yeah. Well, the hair splitting that I'm doing is this, which is really valuable, I think, if I have it right. And I don't know if I have it right. I want you to just be honest with me. But as you listen, I just want to let you know that there's more we're trying to help you with. Valuable benefits we've invested in for members of our Bold Encounters Club. We've also created a way for you to just see if these advantages help you. Go to boldencounters.tv and join, and you'll get a free month's access to experience premium guidance, tools, and the care that we've invested in this work. At boldencounters.tv, you can also give club access to someone else you think may want more meaning or need more money in their life's work. Stay with us today, and at the end, you'll hear all about these great benefits. And I don't know if I have it right. I want you to just be honest with me, but the specific context. So I said the game. You're not angry and want to kill teammates during the game.
No.
So the context of practice, the literal context of practice, is that you're competing for one of those 5 or 6 positions out of 12 or 13 kids. And it is the context of competition, right? But, so maybe there, but in the game, it proves like you're not turning and killing other humans because you're just generally angry and out of control. You're channeling those innate emotions towards the actual context of what needs to happen. And you're keeping it in with that, within that.
I would bottle it.
Okay.
But I'd release the tension of that bottle by the way I would set a pick for a teammate. I would, if someone attacked my point guard or hurt him, I'm coming.
Yeah.
If you it was not, I'm not talking about the role of an enforcer. It is the fact that I need you to know that I have your six at all times.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what goes on. I'm going to give it my all. If I'm going to die for every ball, because I knew I only had limited amount of space and time on it.
Yeah.
Because once I would sit down, the swelling on the leg would kick in and stuff. So I could never. It was important for me to start off as a starter and play as many minutes as I can and give my absolute everything. And give you an example of intensity in the way that, even when it came to practice, if coach said, I remember a coach said to Coach Johnson in college, said, I need you to run through the wall. Everyone, run through the darn wall. Run, don't just touch the line, run through the wall. And I was like, all right. And literally, man, that padding that's behind it, I ran into that as fast and hard as I could. And he was like, Dixon, why'd you do it? I said, you told me to. And he was like, I didn't mean it. I was like, Coach, only tell me what you really believe and mean. Because I will give everything.
It's going to happen.
Yeah, it's going to happen. But it was because I had been without anything.
Yeah.
You see?
Yeah. Yeah, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. So one of the moments I'm curious about is, the accolade, briefly. An amputee that gets a college scholarship. So let's hit that. Tell us about heading into that, trying to make that happen, the decision where and how it happened and all that. Just tell us that story.
So I took the videotape and I sent that copies out of that to everybody. I did. I wanted the scholarship. I wanted to go.
As grainy as they were coming.
but I had some dominant moments. I also had clippings from playing in AAU games. Grabbing 20 rebounds was a very common thing for me. And that was all heart and will, right? And so I knew that the videotape playing against Alan Henderson, Damon Bailey, Grant Hill, those guys I didn't even know Grant Hill. They weren't from my area. I just knew that they became great names, but at the time
they didn't even know they were great names.
No.
They thought they were, but they didn't
Damon
know.
was the big name.
Yeah.
But having that footage was credibility, and sending it off. And so I got some college scholarship offers. Some were partial, some were full. And I decided to go with the one in Minnesota because it was a Christian college, and I had this curiosity to learn more about God. And I wanted to know, but I also wanted to be away from the people I'd been around because you may not know this, but my brother was murdered.
Yeah.
And
he was your half brother, is that right?
He was my half brother. But where I'm from, when someone does something to a relative, there's a response for that. There's a expectation that you do something back, especially if you find out who did it.
Yeah.
And I had an inkling that if I didn't leave the day after I graduated high school, that I wouldn't live. And that wasn't just an idea, that was reality.
That was a rule, not the exception.
Yeah, that was guaranteed to happen.
Yeah.
And so I got out of town, and here I am at a Bible college, and I'm confronted by different things. My reality of life was totally different than what I'm facing, and the things that I'm experiencing are totally different than the kids I've met.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's like to have a two-parent family. They did. And the way that they lived with privilege and freedoms, they didn't understand how great they had been gifted.
Yeah.
They came to college, and there were multiple generations who had done so, and it was expected. I was the first, and I had to be a trailblazer. And so when I got there, there wasn't going to be further support. There was pride in what I had done, but there was no further support. And so I needed the scholarship. I had to get it. And getting there, but then I needed money, so I started working at a Nike store on the side. But to my grandmother and them, you went off to school. You were done. And then he's working at Nike. To them, they thought I was working with Phil Knight, right? But they were like, send some stuff home. So I'm spending my check sending them stuff. But they thought I'd already made it. Their job was complete.
Mm.
The good thing is, man, you learn that if no one comes to rescue you, do you have enough will inside of you to become more for yourself? And so to get the education, to get as far as I've gotten, I got down to my senior year, but I needed $1,200 to take finals.
Yeah.
My mom, I called her and I said, Mom, I need $1,200 to take finals. And she said, well, you need to come home then.
Yeah.
And so I had to put on pause and go back and redo his whole semester because I couldn't take finals because of $1,200.
Mm.
You see, sometimes delay doesn't mean you're going to be denied. Sometimes the delay just makes you go out and become more to get it. I got thirstier for everything. Not the education aspect, because the credentials, heck, most of the people don't even do what they went to school for.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, but what I did go to school for was ministry. That's what I do. That's what I live.
Yeah. And you went to finish.
I had to.
Yeah.
I gave a promise to my grandmother.
Yeah.
I would do it.
And her voice was probably still, while you were away and she's away now, saying, look, I paved this path. You better be running on it.
Listen,
you can do it, Superman.
I hear my grandmother's voice right now. I'm going to tell you something. I stand on the border right now. Brother, I'm passionate. I love life. I'm being authentically me at all times, even now.
Yeah.
But I'm also on the verge of always crying.
Yeah.
I miss her.
Yeah.
I miss everything that she poured in me, because the lessons mean more to me today than I ever did. If I had known what I was sponging up from her, there were times that I went and hung out with buddies that I would have stayed there on the porch with her.
Yeah.
There were conversations that I didn't pay attention to that I would go back and I would record.
Yeah.
And because there were wisdom aspects that she dropped that come to fruition today. So
yeah, I really believe in what you just said. They study happiness. Everyone studies happiness, and they say we get happier as we get older, which is just confounding to young people that are doing all the fun stuff. But I think a big part of it is what you just said. Like, there's a lot of us, most people have really misbehaving people in their life somewhere. And if we focus all on that, then maybe happiness doesn't grow and swell. But almost everyone has someone somewhere who's been positive and contributed, or maybe you're not even here anymore. And if those memories are reflected on as you go through more experiences and they become more reality and more vital, and you just almost have this button that if you need to be happy, you remember grandma, you remember mom, you remember, in my case, mom, and you can press a button and recall them and the words, and you just are happy.
Brother, I'm going to rephrase something from my perspective.
Yeah, I'd like to hear your perspective.
I really don't care about being happy.
Yeah.
Happiness, man, is probably most overused thing. I hear people leave relationships saying, I'm just not happy anymore. I'm just not happy.
Yeah, that's
and
a big
so
word.
Happy is, if it's an emotion, is the worst thing to have, because, man, it comes, it goes. It's like a roller coaster. It can't be that. Do you think Martin Luther King lived on happiness?
No, yeah.
No, man, I think more important for me is my purpose.
Yeah.
And if I'm living that, I find joy. Now, joy is different than happiness. Joy is this sense of like, man, I am doing what I was born to do. I love this. I love people. I love my purpose. I love my calling. And so happiness, man, I find happiness in that when I see other people do stuff.
Yeah.
That makes me happy.
Yeah.
because there are most men get happy over the purchase of things. I got a new car, you see it. I got a new house, you see it. I live here now. I do this now. But that stuff goes away so quickly that the only way the people that have those possessions find joy again, ask a guy that's got a jet if he still loves it 10 years later. He doesn't. It's just transportation. It's a car. But he gets happy when he brings on someone who's never been there and watching their responses, because that allows him to tap into that gratitude again.
Yeah.
And so what makes me joyful and what I get happy about would be one day I will see my Savior again, face to face for the first time, and thank him. And then I'll get to see Grandma again. Yeah.
That's terrific. I'm glad you clarified that, because, I believe that too. Happiness is a big word, used a lot, and there are two sides to it. There's the joy, fulfillment side, and the fun, excitement side. And, for decades and decades, psychologists are like, how do we measure how we feel and stuff? And the only thing they've ever come to is the way to measure how we feel is to put it on a scale, and on one side is excitement and arousal, and on the other side is meaning and valence, and there's a lot of temporary feelings that happen on the side of excitement and fun and arousal and things like that. But on the side of valence and goodness and meaning and things that mattered, they just keep giving, and they grow and swell. Their grandma, their mom, if you have a good mom. And I'm really glad you pointed that out. And I love the thought of seeing the most people, the greatest leader ever, and your grandma at the same time. That's a terrific thought. One of the things that's been really interesting to me to think about you is, as you got into this later life, you were still feeling somewhat different about yourself, and it wasn't that great. And not until pretty late in life did you have this awakening. Tell us about that. That's super. That's one of my favorite things, because it's so authentic. Like this would be a great story, and it would sound so almost cliche if at a young age you figured it out, and at the end of college you got married the first time, it lasted forever, and you've been happy ever since. But as you're saying, it's not about that. You've had a kind of a crazy journey internally too. So tell me about that.
Well, I was thinking, as you were saying that, what can I share with you and your audience that is different than the canned answers of people asking me repetitively things, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to share this. For me, I failed many times. I failed in marriage. I failed in relationships. I failed in accountability. I failed as a father.
Mm-hmm.
I was failing myself. I guess in many ways I was hiding, because some things didn't go right, and I guess I settled in the idea that somehow some things you just got to let go in life. And so you build up a little sense of resentment on the fact that I'm just not going to be able to chase after my dreams. The divorce or the relationship cost you, and they don't want you to do this, or this happens, that happens, something unfairly happens to you, child custody goes wrong, all these negative things that happen in your life. I experienced all those things, and then finally, I was sitting there, I was forced to serve someone who happened to have a disability like mine. They came to me and asked me if I would work with them. And as I was doing that, and I started working with other people, it forced me to confront some situations. Francis. Mr. Francis was an Army veteran whose dying wish was to die with his prosthetic. He wanted to die a whole man.
Yeah.
And I was called in to help. Francis Bell is his actual name. They asked me to come in, and I was supposed to coach him on how to walk after he got his prosthetic. But when they ran tests on him, his heart wasn't strong enough to keep the dialysis going. And so they said they sent him home to hospice to die.
Mm.
And so it went from me coming in to coach him to him asking me, he said, "Coach, do you think you can get me?" This is a 79-year-old man.
Yeah.
Saying, "Coach, do you think you can get me a leg?" Being that he's a veteran, you would think it'd be easy, but no, once they say that you're not viable, because they run the risk, and the idea of the insurance, is it worth putting money into a man that will never even use it? No, they won't do it. And so I ended up making some phone calls, and I got a company to make him a leg 12 hours before he died.
Oh.
And I got to deliver it, and the video is on my social media. When I delivered the leg, we put it on, and he wanted a Harley sticker on it. And so we put the Harley sticker on it, and his last words on earth were, "Thank you."
Mm.
His family, we all clapped together, and as we were talking, they're taking pictures with him with his legs showing. He smiled, and then he was gone.
Mm. Well, go ahead.
No, but it made me find my purpose. Because life was too short for me to sit there living with my resentments or to define myself by what failed. I had found success as in relationship again. I had found success as a father because I went and redeemed lost time by fighting even more so. And now my kids, the access, the relationship, the daily interaction I have with them, you can redeem losses. Mm-hmm. And in 3 years, everything, I earned more in doing my purpose and serving people and finding out that life is too short for me to live with resentment, frustration, anger, or punishing myself because of what I didn't do. And in 3 years, I did more than I ever did in the first 48 years of my life.
Yeah. It's amazing. Well, and that first one, I didn't know this until preparing to talk to you. Tell us a little bit about not that the money's important, it's just a metric on the effort. Like getting a prosthetic to that gentleman was not like just going to the medical supply store and picking it up. Tell people who don't know about that what that's all about. That's some task.
Listen, and I had to rely on relationships and people not caring about a budget.
Yeah.
And a prosthetic will cost below the knee up to $75,000. Cheap, throw one together for $16,000. Above the knee, $150,000. And for me to get one made for him that fit him, so to have the company come out, measure him, put the prosthetic together, make it so that it's not viable and all those, and to put it in that day because they can. The technology is here. Just the will has to be.
Yeah.
And so they wrote off what would have been probably $25K in order to provide that leg, but hand delivered it, came to his house while he's in the bed, measured him, and then came back and put the leg on him right there. And didn't make a post about it.
Didn't make a post about it.
You see?
Yeah.
To give someone an authentic moment. It wasn't until his family released something that I had something.
Yeah.
But the company didn't. I didn't.
I love that.
And I think it's what you do in the dark that opens up blessings when the lights come on.
I love that. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. So, you had this thought about yourself, and it changed into what at what age? Talk to us about what was going on inside in your mind when you made this pivot.
My change came, I'd say 45 was the first time I wore shorts. It was the first time I publicly wore shorts and would admit to anyone that I was an amputee, because I saw it as a sense of shame. And I didn't want to be called that. And so I wanted to prove to people I was more than that. But I didn't understand that the longer I went being quiet about it, the longer I was on mute about it, I didn't become a voice for other people. And so then I thought that I was a voice or an advocate for amputees. I speak up. I mean, I speak nationally for them. I've got the Amputee Coalition I'll be speaking for, where thousands of amputees come. But I also go to small groups of small kids who've just lost their limbs. But I thought that that was what I was called for.
Yeah.
But that's a mistake. None of us are called to a particular group of people. You're called to an entire race, the human race. Because whether you've lost a limb, or you've lost a loved one, if you lost a job, if you lost a purpose, everyone suffers loss, and you can help them find the prosthetic of life, that amputation that they have, where you lost something can be the beginning of something. And for me, that's what I found. Yeah. That's what I became. And so it took 3 years of me talking about the loss of a limb to get to the point where I realized that, no, man, it is not the loss. It's the finding of purpose. And so when that transition happened, it took me out of my job, and I've never had to ask for a speaking engagement. I am booked now for the next 22 months without the ability to add anything unless I force that date in, right? But if you were to say 5 years from now, I'm still booked. But people book me not because, I have a marketing firm or any of those things. I didn't get an agent and that stuff till later. But if you go out and serve people, people will seek you out for that service.
Yeah. Well, and you have a very unique capability in several ways, not only experience and the situation that you've risen from and created a second one, but you just have a talent. And tell us about the verbal part of your career when it started to blossom. I think that is really cool.
Well, I'm going to just give you a synopsis this way. I did not expect that speaking would become my career. I didn't know that my voice, it used to be just a great way for me to get out of a situation. They called to tell my parents on me, and I answered the phone, and I pretend to be my own father. And they're like, deep voice must be his dad. I'll get on the boy. Don't send that report card here. I'll just send it home with, whatever it took. But when I began to speak, people began to take voice and video clips we get of it. Just did a voiceover from that Morgan Freeman and what's the other guy who was just Harrison Ford.
Wow.
We're involved with, and I'm doing a Netflix thing now, and to know that your voice could end up being the pathway. It was never about my leg. It was always about my voice.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's not just the tonality. It's you have to have enough pain that you went through so that people can see themselves in you, because your injuries are not for you.
Yeah.
The healing is for everyone.
And when you were back in gyms, you're probably still in gyms every day, but when you were back in gyms early, before you got on a stage or got in front of a corporate group or in front of amputees, you went to the gym, and tell us about what you do there and how that blossomed. I think that's fun about your voice.
Which particular?
What I'm talking about is you would start just encouraging people as you walked by.
Oh, this is just
which you take for granted because you ask any of our kids, like, should you talk to strangers? Like, they don't do that.
No. What you're talking about, man, is just everyday life for me.
Yeah, it's water for a fish. Tell us about the water fish.
Well, even working out, it's interesting how I even met Jim Irsay, who deceased one of the Colts. I'm at the gym, and I didn't know who Jim was.
Yeah.
He just happened to be a white guy at the gym.
Yeah.
4 a.m. and stuff like that. We get there at the gym, we're lifting, and he just asked me to help spot him and stuff. And I start off giving him a little encouragement. Let's go, bro. Lift, man. He doesn't tell me anything about him, and he doesn't reveal who he is. And there's no way. No, he looks familiar, but I didn't know. And all of a sudden I get an opportunity through him to even speak to the Colts players. That was actually one of my first opportunities. I meet another guy at the gym who happened to be the vice president of a prosthetics company that did sales. And just spotting and talking to him, encouraging him. He says, come speak at I have a sales group. We're going to meet at a hotel. Can you stop by and speak? So I come through. I have no speech prepared. I didn't even know who I was going to talk to. It was just a guy I worked out with asked me to come through and say something. I get there and I talk for a few minutes. And man, I just kind of, once he told me who they were, I just kind of told him off about the fact that the lack of the prosthetics, the care of what they could have done, what I could have become if it wasn't for them being lazy. I just told them off because I knew how comfortable they were with just hitting quotas.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But they weren't
Coasting.
They got comfortable as long as their bills were paid.
Yeah.
And so I leave there. I'm like, I tell them off, just from the heart, though. To the heart, from the heart. And I get in my car, and as I'm driving, they call me, hey, can you go here, there? The next thing I know, I go from speaking in front of 6 people to thousands.
Yeah. Well, other people have said those early moments in those gyms that it was how you said 3 more and the detail behind it, and would get to know people around you, whether they looked familiar or not, and were just positive and encouraging, and it seemed to swell in gyms.
Man, listen, I have never been in a gym where I didn't try to encourage someone.
Yeah.
I don't care who it is, but I guess I was giving out what I always wish I had.
Yeah.
And as a result of it, man, it has created relationships and opportunities. And but I'm always being authentically me, and as a result of it, it's opened up doors, relationships, and more importantly, it cemented that I was doing the right thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's a beautiful story. Your story is a beautiful story. I want to ask you one more question, and then I want to do something, if you'll let me, for the last few minutes. Usually we try to, on this show, end with something like I'm going to ask you. And then also, we like to end for our premium listeners with a premium action plan. And what that is they're going to hear me again next week. But this week, in the next 7 days, to start turning something that's negative into something positive, there's some things that have to happen. They have to think differently. They have to do something. There's things that have to happen right now, starting this afternoon, and at least over the next 7 days, so that on that 6th day before they rest, they can say, I did it. I took a first baby step towards this thing that James was talking about. And so we're going to end with that. But before we get there, I want to talk about, you mentioned that you had a first marriage, and it was, you got in your own way. I loved how you didn't put anything on her. Tell us a little bit about that difficult, dark set of thoughts that you were putting on yourself. And then tell us about Nikki and what's different and what's super positive about that. Obviously, everyone has negatives in moments in life, and as we've talked about, but it seems pretty positive. I've interacted only through email with Nikki, and wow, she's patient. Seems like a wonderful person. So if you could kind of end with those 2 things, I think that'd be terrific.
No, I'll just do it this way. I got married with the idea of being a husband without ever having seen one. And so when you're trying to be something and you're willing to step in without a job description, I stepped in the most challenging of situations. She had children already. Here I am. Looking back at it now, if I could have sat down with a younger me, I would never let a young man marry an older woman who already has children, who doesn't understand what he's walking into. But for a young man who lacked family, I wanted one. I wanted the responsibility of that. I was willing to work. I did all those things. But there are things you don't know, and what you don't know is what ends up costing you. Life experience is totally different. I remember being frustrated, and this will be a pinnacle moment that will kind of help some things. I can remember probably one of the biggest breaking points was Christmas. Got married in September. By Christmas, we were already on the outs.
Yeah.
We had gone on a cruise for our honeymoon. Everyone probably is accustomed to going on honeymoons, cruises. These guys are used to it. I wasn't. I didn't know what to dress, how to dress. I bought some winter outfits because it was winter where I left from. And by the time I got there, man, it's 100 and some degrees, but I got corduroy outfits and I'm just sweating. But since they look good, I'm not changing, you know? Anyway, I never kissed my wife until the wedding day. Never had sex with her until our wedding night. I held those, we dated, went through premarital counseling. You can do all the right things and end up with all the wrong results. So here's what happened. One of our first arguments, now I'm only 21 at the time, and I think my wife at the time, she's probably 38. But she was the only one willing to date me, and I had fear that no one would ever love me because of my disability. So I accepted who accepted me. Anyway, the relationship, marriage gets started. We go on the honeymoon. And she says, I love this robe. I love all these things. So I call Royal Caribbean Cruise. I get all those things, amenities, mailed to the house. They're under the tree, wrapped up. First thing that she opens up are the towels from the Royal Caribbean Cruise. But I have written out all these thoughtful notes. This is when you wrap yourself in this, remember the moment. And she didn't read any of those handwritten cards that I'd written. Each one of them. Now I'm fulfilling the dream Christmas I wish I had. That when you gave gifts, you give meaningful gifts, is how I was reared. So it's written all out. Babe, this is exactly how I feel about you. Wrap yourself. You mentioned this, and I went to the ends of the world to make sure it was here for you. She opens it up without reading it, looks and sees the towel, and goes ballistic. Says to me, what did you try to say? I stink or something? Who gives a gift like this? And I'm like, open the rest of them. I'll read the card. But she doesn't tone down. She turns up all the more. And she's completely offended. The next gift she opens up are the face cloths. So she elevates to level 10. Disappointing, insulted. And the more she goes on, I then grab the rest of and I open them up, and they were dresses, shoes, jewelry, and a return trip on a Royal Caribbean cruise. I tore all that up. I gave that I could, and then I grabbed the rest of it and went and donated to a homeless shelter. And it was probably the beginning of the end of that relationship. Here's why. Because I went in with optimism without realism. She was fulfilling a life bucket list, always wanted to be married, but not to me. So to find someone who has a mission in life that aligns with who you are and where you want to be. When you mentioned Nikki didn't marry James Dixon. She married my mission because it's all a part of it. And so by the time that I'm maturing and growing into that, she is growing and molding into that with me. Because to marry me as a provider only isn't enough. You'll leave me for someone who can provide better. But if you marry someone with a purpose and you connect with that, now no whether the things are good or things are bad, that person stays. It's not just the vow. The vow is connected to a purpose. And so on purpose, with purpose, 17 years later, it undid what was broken, what I thought I was tied into, soul ties with the past. It untied that and showed me that your soulmate isn't the person that you first connect with. It's the one who ties themselves to your destiny.
It's beautiful. That's true. That is true. Wow. She's not here. I haven't met her. Man, her resume deserves a little pub. Before we switch to the action plan, I'm going to give you a chance to tell us where to find you and all that. But before you do that, give Nikki a little ad, would you?
Right.
I got a new audience for her. Let's hear Nikki.
If you're looking for someone that can make an impact, do an impact for you, contact Nikki Lynn Dixon. She's the CEO of Eternal Radio, Christian radio, broadcast in 150 countries. She's been the architect behind Elevate the Voices, and she's the one that was pushing out when Absolute Motivation had grown. But she is literally, since June 4th of 2025, within 4 months, 75,000 subscribers to the YouTube channel because of her understanding as a creator and algorithm. She just changes people's. If you have a voice, she's the one that can make it heard. And so if you're looking to do those type of things, that's who you are. Now, when you asked about me, you could find me wherever you can find Bold Encounters. I don't need to be advertised, brother. My relationship
you're booked.
Is valuable. I'm just honored to be with you.
You're so kind.
If you need to join Premium, and make sure you get the action plan by doing that too. Go find it now. You'll be so grateful. See you there. Go to boldencounters.tv and start leading your life's work right now.